Okay, team. So welcome to the very first session on the Quality Center. The latest name for this is called ALM, which stands for Application Life Cycle Management. Now, till now, whatever we have understood, this is all manual way of understanding the requirement or creating a requirement, manual way of creating the test cases, test scenarios, and then how do we execute them, who will be executing what test cases, then we have executed the test cases, and executing of those test cases are resulted in some defects. Then how do we track those defects? All that we have seen in an Excel, or it could have been Word also, but most probably most of the companies will use Excel. All that we have done in those MS Office suites like Office or Excel. But think of a big enterprise. Think of a big enterprise where not that entire team is sitting in one place. Let's say developers are sitting in US, QA team is sitting in somewhere in another country, and or within the QA team, some of the team is sitting in some other country and other team is sitting in other country. Think of this situation wherein we wanted to have one central repository tool, a single central repository tool where we can maintain all these artifacts, whatever the artifacts we have created so far. What are the artifacts we have created so far? The test cases, the defects, test case execution details, like whether they are passed, failed, and all that. So we need to maintain all these test artifacts details in a central location, in a central repository, so that whatever I created, the other person can view or use, or he can run it from the other country, from that central location, taking it up from the central location and using it. Similarly, it's a vice versa. If somebody has developed some test cases from US, let's say I'm sitting in another country, I can import those cases and start using them. So in a big enterprise, we need one central repository to maintain all that. And that is nothing but a tool like a Quality Center or an application lifecycle management tool, wherein all the artifacts throughout the software development lifecycle, right from requirements phase till the maintenance phase, what are all the artifacts that team will be creating, we can maintain them as part of this central repository tool. So the introduction about it is I would say so let me just write down whatever I've explained. So it is a central repository tool to maintain all the artifacts that are created throughout the software development life cycle. Okay, so that's one simple definition that we can give it. And the introduction about this tool is like which company developed this and things like that. So it is the product of, or I would say, because this is not the only one, it is a product of HP. But if you wanted to understand a little bit of history about it, it is primarily developed by Mercury Interactive. You might have heard about this company. All these, some of the primary tools like QTP, what you might have heard about it. You might have heard about Load Runner. You might have heard about Test Director, previously Quality Center known as Test Director. So all these tools are developed by a company called Mercury Interactive, and they're all taken over by HP around 6 years back. So it's all HP products now. So whatever we are talking about, the Quality Center or even the latest version of ALM, they're all HP products. Okay, what is the purpose? It is used to maintain all the, as we said, all the artifacts of the SDLC phases. And what it can do, it is a web application. Basically, It's not a Windows application. The very old version of Trace Director that we used to use like 12 years back was a Windows application. So we used to install it on every client machine, and then of course server will be there. I'll talk about that. But even the client version, we used to install it on every client machine. So it was a Windows application. But starting from Quality Center, when it was started from Test Director to Quality Center, in fact, in the Test Director itself, they modified it to be a web application. So it's a web application. So it can be accessed from anywhere as long as you are connected to your corporate network, as long as you are connected to your corporate network. So you can connect from home, you can do all that as long as you're connected to the corporate network. So it's a web application, so that's the advantage of it. And another the biggest advantage of this is, so what we're talking about is it provides a high security for all the artifacts that are maintained in the QC or ALM. So there is a dedicated role called Quality Center Administrator, who will be whose primary role is to take care of all the projects that are available, which projects to be created, and who would be accessing those projects. For example, if you are a test engineer joined in project 1, so you would be accessing only the project 1, not project 2. So that way all the artifacts are very well secured with the proper authentication and authorization, which we are going to see it very soon in 5 minutes from now. So so it provides high security for all the artifacts that are maintained. The another one is it can generate, the biggest advantage is it can generate reports and graphs just click of a button. So if you would have observed till now, what we were doing is we were maintaining all the test cases in an Excel, and even the defects in an Excel. Think of a situation like this. For example, you all created the test cases and you have executed them on this project Holly.in, and then you have also reported the defects and you have sent to me, for example, in an Excel. Now, if I wanted to look at in the Excel how many test cases are passed, how many test cases are failed, I need to have some kind of a filter that is applied on that Excel is the first point. Even after applying the filtering, I need to apply filter on the priority to see how many priority ones got failed, how many priority 2 test cases got failed, how many priority 3 test cases got failed. And when I look at in the defects, how many of them are severity 1 defects, how many of them are severity 2 defects, so I need to apply a filter on the severity. And if at all I wanted to see how many of them are logged by individual, for example, it could be Sridevi, or it could be Hema. I'm just seeing those names here right now. So I wanted to look at who logged those defects, for example. So it is very a difficult situation for the test lead or for the test manager or whoever is the owner of the project manager to sort it out, that information from an Excel, and to see the current status. Basically, it's a consolidation of, for example, there are 10 people working in the project. So I need to look at that Excel sheet and do a lot more work to get out of the overall status of all the 10 people, how many test cases completed, how many defects found, and things like that. So that is going to solve out just by clicking of a button. So what we can do in the Quality Center is, since everybody is using, all the 10 folks who are working in the project will be using the same Quality Center, same project, so everything is maintained in a very proper structured way. So when I just go run a query or run a report, I will be able to see that report or graphs within fractions of seconds. So it's very easy for the leadership, like whoever is your test lead or test manager, to understand the overall status of the project on a day-to-day basis, how it is happening. It's because all the data we are maintaining it centrally, so it's very easy to look at the data. So this is some of the points that I can think of at this moment. What is an introduction to the Quality Center? So It's a product of HP used for maintaining all the artifacts throughout your SDLC. That's why it's called application lifecycle management. Previously, only test artifacts we used to maintain, and that time it was Quality Center. Now it is ALM because we are maintaining all the application related ones. Like you will have your uh, uh, in the latest ALM, you can even maintain releases also. The one that I'm going to show, only that portion will not be there. Only the releases word will not be there. Remaining all requirements, test cases, defects, and everything will be there. And as I said, I will be showing even the latest version sometime later. Okay. So now it's a web application, as we said, so we can access it from anywhere, and it provides high security for all the artifacts. Then it can generate the reports and graphs, click of a button. So what are the components of this? Let's talk about components of QC or ALM. So there are two primary components. There are two major components. One is called site administrator, or you can even call it as just now I said, right, quality center administrator. So there is one role called site administrator or quality center administrator. The other one is the quality center itself, quality center or ALM itself. Now, you as a test engineer, you will be working here. So we all will be using this component in real time. Of course, today I will show the first component also, but you should never talk about this component in any interview or anything, because this is taken care by a separate role, a separate person altogether. It's called administrator. Precisely, you can call it as QC administrator, quality center administrator. So that guy is responsible for installing the quality center for you in real time, configuring those websites. I will be talking about all the responsibilities as a point wise, but since we have been worried about the installation and things like that, so when you go to real time, you will never install this software. But here, to practice, you need that. But when you go to real time, there is a separate designation called quality center administrator, who is responsible for installing the software, adding the new people, adding the projects, and things like that. What about we as a test engineer? You are expected to work in the second component. That is where you will be creating all the artifacts of your testing and as well as the project related. But let's quickly look at what are the responsibilities of the site administrator. Of course, as I said, you are not going to do any of these. It's just for your information what administrator will be doing it, but you're better not to talk about any of these responsibilities in real time. So what he would do is, the administrator the very first thing his job is installing the quality center or ALM. So there will be two softwares in it. One will be the server side software. The another one is client side software. Of course, this client side software, he might give instructions and we will be installing it, because client we will be using it, but server side installation is completely his job. So what happens, this client server, this quality center comes in two formats. One is a server side version, and the other server side software. Another one is client side software. Client side software is a very thin software that we all can install it the way normally we install any software. But the server side is complex, because in terms of various components that it will deal with, and in the back end it will install SQL Server or Oracle also. First of all, it needs to have a server operating system. You need to have Windows 2008 server or 2003 server, because you are installing a server component. You cannot install it on normal Windows 8 or a Windows 10 or whatever. You have to install it on a server operating system. So first making a server ready, and then installing the server operating system, and then installing the actual quality center component. It is all responsibility of this particular person. Not only that, suppose when a new project comes, so creating new domain. First, he will be creating a new domain. What is domain? How to create? We'll quickly look at it now. But typically, what is a domain is, if you go to any company, that company might be doing the business for various lines of business. Like they may be doing it for an insurance domain, they may be doing it for a banking related domain, they may be doing it for a healthcare domain. For various domains, they have projects running it. So it could be an enterprise domain, or it could be a BFSI, banking related one, or it could be just a financial one, or it could be a healthcare domain. So different domains in which the company might be operating with the services or projects. So this person will go and create a domain first, under which domain it comes. Then what he will do, under the domain, he will create the project. For example, let's say today we have got some new ERP system, a new ERP project, let's say enterprise resource planning project. People who are, I'm sure most of you are familiar, but I just wanted to try enterprise resource planning. SAP is one of the biggest system, but not everybody can afford SAP. So suppose if they wanted to, they are looking for a small enterprise ERP related system, wherein you will have different modules like customer module, sales module, finance module. What is the full form of bank? It's a banking financial sector. It's like one is B stands for banking, F stands for financial, and just S and it stands for, not really sure. But it's something that is definitely related to the banking plus financial sector. Okay. So in case of, let's say we have got an enterprise and we have got a new project called ERP project. So we wanted to create this a new project in this quality center. So first he will create the domain called enterprise, and then within that he will be creating a project called ERP. So if you wanted to work on the Howley.in, so project name will be Howley.in, but which domain it comes under, that we will have to decide. For example, if the client that we are going to work, let's say they have different categories like social networking related one, and they have something else, probably this comes under not really social networking, it comes under maybe an entertainment domain, right? So domain will be something like an entertainment, and the project name will be something like Howley.in. So he will create the project. Then after that, he will create new users. For example, let's say we are all going to work in this particular project. So what he will do, he will add us our email IDs and everything into that that particular quality center system. Not only that, he will create new users and assign a password for accessing those projects. So every user is expected to enter some password. So typically it's like providing a permissions in any system. So similarly, he will assign a new password by creating a new user. So who will be doing all this? It will all be done by the administrator, not the test engineer. The QA engineer is not going to do all this. QA engineer is like a new user joined, and he will send an email to the administrator. You will come to know who is administrator from your test lead or test manager. So you will be writing an email, hey, I'm a new member joined in this project. So can you please add me to all the required projects? So he will go and add it to the corresponding projects. So creating new users and assigning the password is one thing, and then configuring the sites. Configuring the sites, like, what is the URL for site administrator, what is the URL for, yeah, so somebody is helping us, banking, financial services, and insurance. Yeah. So so configuring the sites is one thing. Then we have yeah, so upgrading the license version of QC. Suppose today we are using let's say some version, and tomorrow there is a new version comes from HP. What is number 5? Configuring the site. So today we'll be using those different sites. So what happens? Administrator component will have one site. The actual, so I said there are two components right here. These are the two components. One is site administrator, one is quality center. Two different components will have two different URLs basically. So which URL should point to what? So that URL, because it's all web application, so which URL user should browse so that he will go to administrator, which URL he should browse so that he will go to the actual quality center component. So that configurations he will do it. Upgrading the license versions of QC, and also sometimes we will, for example, in the beginning the company had two quality center servers because let's say the number of projects were very huge. They had two servers, and for example, if for one reason, let's say one project is moved from one domain to another domain, so what they have to do, they have to move the project content from A domain to B domain, right? So they need to migrate the projects from one QC to another QC server, right? So all these kind of typical administrator roles. Like you can think of SQL Server administrator, or you can think of any database administrator, right? So how does he does like moving a database from one server to other server, importing the data from one another server. So typically all those kind of responsibilities he will be doing it. So these are some of the primary responsibilities. So any questions so far? Let's start looking at the practical now. So we have understood the enough introduction of what quality center is, what is the introduction about it, and the components. So but remember one thing, you're going to work only in this one. You're not going to work on the first component at all. But I'll quickly show you how the administrator works in real case, and how does he creates new people and things like that. Okay. So with this, let me switch to the quality center system. So as I said, let me just talk about one point. So it is a client server. It's a client server system, right? So what does that mean? Because the actual components and all, it needs to store in some database, right? So that's why they cannot just go in a typical client machine. So what they have done is, all the quality center will have a structure like this. So there will be a server. So think of this is the QC or ALM server. And then we have we have different clients who will be using this. So it could be the other way actually. So I'm just trying to put like a client server architecture so that you can understand it better. For example, here we have a server, and this server is used by various clients. So you will be working from client side. Let us say here is client 1, and here is client 2. So let's say we will be working from one of these clients, let's say client 3. So this is client 1, this is client 2, and this is client N. So this is client N, let's say. So now what happens is there are a lot of components that will be installed on the server side. So this if you look at the server, especially this one, right, we cannot put it on a normal operating system, as I was saying it. So we need a server operating system only. It could be Windows 2003 or 2008 server, depending on the which version of QC you are using. This can be on our normal Windows. It could be Windows 7, Windows 8, whatever. But this component is heavy, and that needs to be installed only on the server, right? So first, your administrator will make the server ready, and he will install the corresponding Windows Server operating system, and then he will install a lot of server components on it, and from there onwards the server is ready, and then he will share us one link for installing the client side ones, which is a very thin and very simple ones. So you will run that, and from there onwards you are ready to connect this client to this server. So like that, the server will be located probably in your head office somewhere, let's say in US, and these clients can be accessing from anywhere all over the world. As long as they are connected to that server with a proper URL, they are good. So this is the challenge in what people actually talk about installing this software and all that, because it's not simple client-side software like a QTP, a UFT, or a Selenium that you can install it, because here you need to install this heavy server component. For that, most of us, we will have a normal personal computers like laptops and all, in which if you wanted to try to create a server and if you try to install it, so that will be the whole scenario. People talk about installation problems and all. But if you really have a server operating system, if you really have a server machine, and in that if you have a proper hardware configuration, there is nothing actually. I mean, it's just a step-by-step approach you can follow, which is given in the HP site. Probably I'll share that link also. You will be able to do it. So in real scenario, what happens, we will have proper servers. So it will be easy to install. But most of us, what we try to do in our personal computers, we try to do both client and server. That's where the whole problem comes, right? So what I have done is, in this my personal computer, if you see, it is a normal Windows 7 operating system, Windows 7 Ultimate I have, and then it's a 4 GB RAM. So how can I have a server in this, right? So what we have done is to create this component. So I created something called virtual PC. So there is something called Microsoft Virtual PC. Can you see here? So you all can also download it from the internet, Virtual PC 2007. Of course, I will be sharing you how you can install that, and then how you can make this Quality Center available and things like that. So what I had to do is I had to create a virtual PC, Microsoft Virtual PC. This is precisely 2007 version. And in this, I created a virtual machine. It's nothing big. You can create a virtual PC, and then once you have virtual PC, you can create a virtual machine in that. And in that virtual machine, we have installed 2003 server. So this is, can you see it here? This is the virtual PC which is running. Can you all see this virtual machine? So where I have Windows Server 2003 Enterprise Edition. So since I cannot install a server components on the client machine, so what we have done is we have installed all this on a server operating system itself. So we have created something called Microsoft Windows Server 2003, and in this 2003 I have installed the server related components. So the similar way you need to do if you wanted to practice at home, but in real time there will be a separate server altogether wherein all those components will be deployed. Okay, so once you have virtual PC installed, the way you work is slightly different. So just focus on. After that, I will give the instructions how to work it, how to install and things like that. So now, if I wanted to switch from my personal computer to this this 2003 server, so this VPC helps me with certain options to pass the commands. Like I have something called control del. For example, here right now it's in a lock screen, and if I wanted to go there, I need to send control alt del. But if I directly send it from control alt del from here, it will apply on my my main laptop, right? So to do that, you need to go from here. So I will say control alt del. So then it bring me the login screen for that particular server. So then I will be entering the required password for it. I will be sharing all these details. What is the username, password that you need to use. And then now it is loading the corresponding virtual PC machine. And in this virtual PC machine, now you can see, as I said, we have used a 2003 server, and also you can see the information. So we have this 2003 Enterprise Edition, and then with some computer name and things like that. So here I have installed all the Quality Center related components, and then to see the integration between the other components and all, I have installed QTP and things like that. So here, first thing what you need to do, if you go to any enterprise, any company, so what happens is, hope you all can see that, right? Virtual PC. Can any one of you just confirm? Do you have any problem in viewing it? Okay, cool. So what happens is, look at this URL, especially cool. So especially this URL. If you go to real time, this is how the URL will be. This is how the URL looks like. So let me talk about this URL for some time because it's very important. So what happens precisely, it will be HTTP or HTTPS in real time. And this SYS, what you see is the server name. So we said it's a client server architecture. In the Word document I was trying to explain, you will have a server you will be connecting from of your client machine to the server. So what is that server name? That server name you will come to know from your administrator. You will come to know from your test lead or test manager. What is the server name of that? Then there will be a port number. So this, again, whoever is administrator of that quality center, while installing, while configuring, he will enter some port number. Mostly it is 8080. So you will be entering that port number in your URL. And then you will have two components. One is called primarily SCA bin. Just give me 1 minute. So one will be SCA bin, that is site administrator bin directory. The other one is the actual component, that is QC. As I said, there are two components. One is a server, the other one is a quality center. So let's spend few minutes on this one first, the site administrator, even though you're not going to use, but your primary job, can we install QC and ALM in one machine? Rizvi, like what I'm talking about is installing one itself will kill up your machine, actually speaking. So let me understand one thing. I know, Rizvi, you have been kept on hold for a long time. So are you looking from only testing perspective, or are you looking from quality center administrative perspective? I mean, so as if I understand your requirement better, probably I can help you much. Testing only, right? So don't. So what happens if you very much focus on installation? You'll actually lose the focus of the actual the main core meat of the quality center. I can help you in a very easy way to have it on your machine. What I have done is I have created this quality center, right? So it will create a in the sense it will create a virtual PC, and that virtual PC will create a virtual hard disk in the back. All that I'm going to share with you when I create. For example, I think I've already uploaded to the so let me just show you. Just give me 1 minute. How can I go back? So what I have done is, just give me 1 minute. So this link you will be, yesterday I spoke to the team and they said that they will provide the access for you, because whatever I am teaching to you, all these videos have been uploaded. Of course, the videos anyway, you have it in yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Not only to you, Tiffany, even I work in this real scenario. I never install. In real case, I never install. But for teaching to you guys, I need to install, right? So even I had to take a lot of strain, lot of problem, because that is not my primary job at all in real time. My primary job is to create. You will come to know when I talk about the whole thing. You will understand it. Our primary job is to create the requirements, create scenarios, working on them, closing on them, creating defects, but not our primary job in installation. It is definitely good to know. I agree with Resvi. Like we need to know how to install, but we are not trying out for a quality center administrator job. That's a whole point that I want to try to make it. So what I did is I created this QCVHT RAR file. You all can see that it's almost an 8 GB file. So when you try to, once you get an access, again I'll talk to the team today because I don't see that you all guys have access now. But what they are doing is whatever the videos I'm uploading here, they are making those videos available on the website. But this one they cannot put it on a website. So what they will give you the access. After that, you just need to download this QCVHD RAR file. Okay, so once this might take about at least I'm expecting 2 hours for you to download, because when I try to upload, it took more than 3 to 4 hours, even though it's a 8 GB file. So once you have that, right, it's just only one step you need to do. Once you have that VHD downloaded on your machine, I will show that step. You need to install VPC 2007 on your machine, and in the VPC there will be a settings here. Not worry about that step now. I will okay, I'm in the virtual PC, right? So not worry about that step. Once you all have that downloaded, I will explain. So you need to just you need to create one new virtual machine. While creating the new virtual machine, it will have an option whether you wanted to install the operating system in it, or you have a VHD already created you wanted to upload. You need to choose the option of VHD and give this VHD file. You're all done. It will automatically load the way it is coming for you. The way it is coming for you here, everything will come in that automatically. This QTP will come, QC will come, everything. The way you're seeing the machine, it will come automatically. So basically what we have done is we have taken the image of that, and then I'm giving you that image rather than you go through all the pain of installation and all that. But if you're still anybody interested to know the steps, I'm pretty much well to share with you. First you need to install 2003 server, then you need to install the SQL server, then you need to install the actual quality center component. So let's not lose the focus from the core concept to the installation part. So because if certain thing is readily available for you and your job is not that, so don't worry much on that. But if somebody is still interested to go installation and all that, we can take it offline. I'm fine to share the steps. I'm fine to explain or guide you how you can do step by step. But we cannot really sit and do it together because we are talking about a 10 hours, 12 hours job, because it will go step by step, right? So with that, I hope Resvi, you convinced, but we can definitely talk offline. I'm sure I need to talk with you. Can we use QTP and QC? You can install, but that's a 10.0 version of it. If you wanted to go ahead and use 10.0 version, you can use it, but the latest version is again 11.5 or 12, the UFT. Okay, you can use that. In that PC it will be there. You can use that. That's not a problem. Okay, so you all will be getting this RAR file, the QCVHD RAR file. You need to extract it with any zip format, and that's all. You need to load that file. You're good. Okay, let's continue. We can keep on talking about it once we have looked at some of the features, right? I can more talk about installation. I can prepare some of the steps and give it to you. Folks who are interested, you can do it. But let me tell you, what we are trying to do is a big enterprise server thing. We are trying to do it on a laptop. Is where the whole problem is. If we all have a good hardware, if we all have a good server operating system, it is like installation of any other software, nothing much about it. And another thing, what very soon, I mean, it's already started probably. Let me show you if possible. So what the HP folks are doing is, Microsoft has already done it. They put everything, all the server components, it in cloud. If we go to their HP site, so they are showing another variant of the ALM in cloud. So when it is in cloud, right, so things will be very easy, because even for the enterprise, they don't need to install all these things. So it's the HP who does it in their data center, and all that we need to do is we need to connect to their okay. So I will give you the right link of HP. So what happens in that is they have already come up with the another variants of this software in a cloud. So when everything is in cloud, so all that you need to do is just you need to access to that URL, their cloud URL, and then you can directly, as if like the way you're working as a client, you will be working, creating your domain, creating your project, creating your users and things like that. The only difference between the on-premise and the cloud is on-premise you will have server also in your office and client also on your tester's machine, but in cloud what happens, the server will be with the HP data center. Only your clients will be using from the testers or developers location. Of course, there are debates. Some people think that it's like any other cloud offering, right? So, our project is a banking related project or a financial related project, so we'll have lots of secure information like credit cards information and all that. So we cannot go with the cloud because we will have to worry about clients on the security perspective and all. Those companies cannot go ahead, but normal other companies who can, even the security, all these cloud offerings are taking care of 6 levels, 7 levels of security, so they are all very secure. I'm not saying that cloud is not secure, but there will be some restrictions from the clients sometimes. But if you go with the cloud version of it, definitely you can reduce lot of hardware cost in your organization, especially the server and everything, and it will be very easy for the folks also to just go ahead and use it. So Microsoft has already done that for their. So similarly, ALM, QC, whatever we are talking about, I can also give you another point about it is who are the competitors. Do we have any competitors for this? Yes, we have competitors. Really bad at typing the spelling. So we have Microsoft, a software called MTM. I don't know how many of you heard about it. It's called Microsoft Test Manager. The same thing, whatever you see in Quality Center in the couple of sessions that we're going to talk about it. Similar features, you will have it in this one also. It is one of the major competitor for them for the HP thing. What they have done is they also previously used to have something called big server called TFS, Team Foundation Server, and then once you install the Team Foundation Server, then you will actually install the client side one. So same story. If you wanted to install the TFS, then you need a good server machine. If you wanted to install the client, you can install it on any of your machine. So they had all these big problems. So what they have done is to make out the things very easy. They removed this. They have the TFS, but they have the TFS in their data center. They came up with something called VSO. It stands for Visual Studio Online. So they came up with something called Visual Studio Online, which is basically the cloud version of the same. Previously, the way we are doing Quality Center in server and client, they used to have TFS and then client, and then they came up with something called Visual Studio Online cloud version. So it's pretty easy. Anybody can go to visualstudio.com. If you are interested after this, you can just go to visualstudio.com and you can create your own test projects, and you can actually do all the stuff in the test projects. You can create test cases, you can create bugs and everything. But anyway, that's not our primary focus. So what they've done is they made the job easy by putting everything in the cloud, and they're just giving you one link from which you can create the project. Otherwise, you would have done the same thing. You would have done the server installation, you would have done the client installation. So similarly, HP has also done that. But what they are doing is they are not giving it everybody. Like you all can go to visualstudio.com and you can create, but in HP you cannot do that. So in HP what they are doing is they are going with only with a verification. Basically what they wanted to do, are you from an organization, are you from a big or are you from a small organization, big organization. So they are asking us to fill the form, and then some of their executives will talk to us. If they are convinced, then they will give access to it. So it's like they're not making it public that anybody can use it. The way Microsoft did it is public. You can go use it. Anybody can do that. So until that happens, This installation problems will keep on hampering us because we'll have to install this server and client. Okay, so there's a lot of whole story about this. Now let's move ahead. So here what I will do, I will go to this site admin once I have this software, right? So here SYS is my machine name. What is the advantage of using Microsoft's same component, same feature? Some of them will use HPQC, some of them will use Microsoft. They are just competitors. Like if you ask me, features are same, pretty much same. If you ask me why somebody is using QTP and why somebody is using Selenium, so depending on their need and advantage and things like that. But features are pretty much same. Of course, the way you work will be definitely different. It's picking up. The Microsoft Test Manager is picking up. So sure you will find maybe very soon you will get to hear some of the job descriptions, requirements, and things like that. But as of today, the HP is the one that's leading the market. But I'm sure that will become a very equal competitor very soon. I had to use it in one of my recent projects, so that's where I'm coming from. Okay, so if you look at this URL, SYS is my server name where I have installed all this, and then 8080 is a protocol, basically the port number, and the QC bin is what Quality Center bin directory. So here, let me go to. Do you guys want me to make this as a full screen, or are you okay with the VPC? If I wanted to make it full screen, I need to press right Alt Enter. So I need to press right Alt Enter, then it will come full screen. Is that okay, all of you? Can you see that? You can remember this keyword, right Alt Enter, right side Alt Enter you need to press. Alt plus Enter. Okay. Next time when you bring it back to the normal also, again you have to press right Alt Enter. This is Microsoft Virtual PC command. Okay. So let me go here, Site Administrator. So now can you see that Quality Center administration page where I have created some default username called administrator, and then password is something that I have set it like SPD123. So you all will be using the same thing when I give you this. So username is administrator. Password I have created is something called SPD123 because you are going to take the same image and you are going to use it. So you all also will be using the same username and same password. So if you wanted to note down, that's fine. Otherwise, I will be sharing along with the document for giving the installation and the RAR file. Okay, once you have entered username and password, let me click on login button. Okay, this is the Quality Center site administration page where you can see a lot of things like site projects, site users, site connections, licenses, server, site configuration, site analysis, things like this. Pretty much administrator job, database administrator or any administrator job who will be actually managing. This UI is nothing to do with test cases, nothing to do with the defects and all. So this is not our job at all. But what I'm introducing to you is to understand how you will be actually onboarded to a project. Okay. So looks like I already have this. Let me delete this domain and the project underneath it so that we can create from the scratch. Okay, first I need to create that project. That's fine. So what it is saying is I'm directly trying to delete a domain. It's asking me first delete the project. We can actually we are going to work on howly.in anyway. Okay. I could have kept it retained. Can you see that? So this is a disclaimer. It will be very, very slow because one machine I'm using it for two things now. That too, one of them is server. So you can expect certain things will be very, very slow. Okay. So first thing what we wanted to do, let's go and create a domain. Okay. So your administrator will create a domain for you. Let us consider that howly.in comes under entertainment domain. Okay. It comes under, let's say, some entertainment domain. So what I did is, again, I just clicked on create domain. I entered a domain name. It automatically comes up in capitals. You can enter a domain name. It could be the banking domain. It could be financial domain. It could be human resource domain. It could be an enterprise, whatever. I just created it as entertainment domain. and then I just clicked on OK. Then I clicked on OK. So now if you see, the domain got created. So here is a domain name that is showing up, and the physical directory where it is created and all it is showing. So those are all nothing to do with us, nothing to worry about them. So select the domain that we have created. So this entertainment is what I created. Select the domain. Now click on create project. Okay, so we need to create a project underneath it. So go to create project. Now you can see there are different versions coming up. There are different options coming up. Creating an empty project. So it's like it's going to create the project from the scratch. You wanted to do that, or create a project by copying the data from an existing project. Like I already talked about it. This quality center administrator jobs are importing the data from one project, putting it in another project, right? So those kind of jobs also they will be doing it. So let's assume there is already a project 1 and he wanted to import the data from that project 1 and to bring it to project 2. Something like that, you can do it in create a project by importing the data from an exported quality center project file. So how they will normally do it is, if you have project 1 and project 2 and you wanted to bring the data from project 1 into project 2, they will first export into a flat file like in a CSV file kind of a format, and that will go as an input for the second project. And after you do all that, if you open the second project, then you will have all your test cases and things like that. So I'm actually currently doing one of the job with this for TFS, Microsoft Team Foundation Server Test Manager. What we are trying to do is we recently moved from that Team Foundation Server to the VSO for one of the project. Other project we use Quality Center and all. For one of the project, I am migrating right now. Even though it's not my job, it's kind of an extended thing, I would say. There is a small utility already available in the market. Using the tool, I'm moving all the test cases, bugs that are there in the project 1 of Team Foundation Server. I'm moving it to the project 1 of Visual Studio Online. So you don't get to do all these on a regular basis. With my 12 years of experience, so I don't think the junior persons can do it a good job. So I'm taking up it on my own and doing it, but you are not going to do it on a regular basis. So don't worry on such things like importing, exporting and all. It's an administrator job. So let's go with creating an empty project. I know we are extending a little bit. We'll take up to another 6 minutes from now to understand this administrator, so that we can focus on the quality center tomorrow. So let me pick up this create an empty project. So click on next. What is a project name that you wanted to give? So the project name that we wanted to give is something like Holly. I'm not sure whether I can use a dot in this. So it says, right? So I cannot use this. So it says invalid character. I'm trying to type dot. I cannot use it. So I'll just say Holly in. Okay. So this is our project. Which domain it is? So there is one default domain that comes up. Don't worry about that. The moment you install Quality Center, default domain will be there. But the one that we created is under entertainment. So we need to pick up this. It of course by default comes because we selected in the left panel. Can you see that you selected that? So it's automatically coming up. So click next. Now when we create all the test cases, bugs and everything, where it is going to store? Internally Quality Center, we said it's a central repository, but where it is going to store? Underneath it, it will have a database server. So the server that is compatible with Quality Center is either it could be Oracle or it could be MS SQL. And most of the people use both of them. So while choosing this installation, I have chosen SQL Server. So by default, it is coming up for you as a SQL Server, not the Oracle one. And here, as I said, right, so on the same machine, you need to have SQL Server also installed. So that's the whole complexity to make it. Like first you need to have 2003 server operating system, then you need to have the SQL Server installed, then you are good for actual Quality Center installation. There are a lot of prerequisites that you need to make the server to be available. So here we are using the DB server on the same machine. So my server name is localhost, and the default things that we are using SCA, and then again I gave the similar, if I remember, SPD123 or I mean, but it automatically picks up the username and password, so you don't need to worry about that. But to tell you, if you are going to install or administrator going to install, you should be an admin on that SQL Server also. What it will do, because when we create a project, it will go create. Now you can see within few seconds, it will create a big a database in that particular server. It will create a lot of tables in that server to maintain all our test case and everything. So in this step, you're not going to do anything. Just click next. Some of the database servers do not have the text search field. That's okay. That's not required for us. So just click on OK. Now you landed in another screen where it is automatically showing there are some people. If you see this Alex, Alice, Cecil, James, these are all default created by the HP folks. But we will understand how to create user like you and me. I will add myself. I'll add some of you folks. And who can work on this project. I mean, you cannot really connect to this project because this is in my local machine. I'm sitting in US or some other country. You cannot connect to my laptop. But just to simulate it, I will create a couple of users and things like that. But for now, what I will do, I will add this guy Alex. Okay. What I did is I selected the person name, and there is an arrow here. Add selected users. He will be added to the project. Okay. This is how your administrator also will do adding you into the project. But first of all, how does he adds you? That I will show you in the next step. Okay, from existing people, how to add, this is clear. Select the user, click on add this one. Okay, right now I have selected these two folks, Alex and Cecil, part of this Howley.in. Okay, they are not physically exist, they just created by HP some names. Okay, click next. Now it is about to create the project. This is the project name, this is the domain name on this local host. After creating the project, do you wanted to activate? Yes, we wanted to activate. There is another important checkbox here called enable versioning. This is a very important point that probably I missed when I was talking the introduction. Let me put that. What is this one? The biggest advantage of going for Quality Center is it provides version controlling mechanism. So what is this version controlling is like, for example, you maintain a lot of test cases, and let's say some of the junior person is given an access and he opened the test case and modify a couple of things, and they are actually, he corrupted them, or they are all failing right now. Suppose that to avoid that kind of a problem, we emphasize version control mechanism on that particular document, so that whenever somebody downloads it, basically it's called checkout. And when he modifies something while putting it into the server, it's called check-in process. It will take the reason, what is the modification that you have done, why you have modified it, who modified it, on what date he modified, or what time he modified. Everything is maintained. So that best example we can give is code. For example, source code of the project. Let's say till yesterday the code was working fine, and today somebody modified some file and it's not working. So we can find out who modified, what file he modified. At least we can remove that from the system, so that we will be in a safe place like yesterday the way we were. So that kind of feature is called version controlling. So do you want to enable version controlling? Yes, let's enable it so that we can understand it better, how to check in, check out, and things like that. So I'm good to create the project now. Everything is selected. Just click on the create. All of you just observe it here in the bottom. You can see it shows creating a project. Just keep an eye on that. You can see a lot of tables it will create. So that's why you need to be an administrator on that server, SQL server. Can you see that it's doing some do VCS version controlling actions and things like that? So now you can see it's created the project. Howley-in project got created successfully. So I wanted to do a logical stop here. What we understood is very simple today. What is Quality Center? What are the advantages and things like that? And then we just landed up in the administration page and created a domain and created a project. So tomorrow we'll understand how to create new users, how to create passwords for them, and then how to go into the actual Quality Center where we create requirements, test cases, and things like that. Okay. So go with this for today. Wait for the installation instructions for practicing. Just maybe today I will ensure you all will get the Google Drive access. If you get it by tomorrow your morning, try to take that RAR file download, the qcvhd.rar file. Try to take a download. Do the download when you have like 2 hours of time, because I'm sure it will take about 2 hours. Keep that ready if you get the access by today, by tomorrow your morning.
so that I can give you the installation instructions, and I can probably show you how to load that VHD file and things like that. Okay. So tomorrow we'll continue with the remaining part of it. The entire week will continue with this only. Okay. Thank you.